Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the nerdiest competition ever created by the Language of Bromance team. In this corner, obsessed with Star Wars and anything with swords, Richard! And in this corner, obsessed with the Ninja Turtles and scared of anything from the ocean, Shawn! Brought to you as a Pod Bros exclusive in association with the LOB Army. Tonight's competition is a Language of Bromance draft.
What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And we are speaking the language of not bromance.
No, screw you, screw face.
Yeah. Screw you, taser face.
Taser face. We are doing a very awesome, fun, special draft today, Richard, because if you haven't known, and you should, Marvel Phases 1 through 3 is done. We just got the culmination of Endgame, Avengers. It's over. It's done.
Yep.
Phase 4.
Small digression. I was at work last week, and there was this lady in there, and I was wearing a Marvel shirt, and she said, "Oh, my son-in-law's in those movies." And I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Was it Tony Stark's mom?
No, it wasn't Tony Stark's mom. But the lady, I was like, "Well, who's your son-in-law?" He's like, "He was this really big guy, and he was in one of those Guardians movies." And I was like, "Holy shit, is your son-in-law Taserface?" Her son-in-law's fucking Taserface, Shawn.
Oh, nice. Did you get him for an interview? Oh.
Should I have done that? I'm horrible at this.
I've got a podcast he should be on. Did you get her name or his name? Do you even know his name?
No.
Taserface.
Taserface. I said his name.
Well, Richard, since you messed that up, we got to do a draft then.
Yeah, we do.
We're gonna
interview Taserface, but now we're gonna do this. So on behalf of me and Shawn, I apologize.
But Richard, what we're gonna do in this, most of our drafts are very open-ended, right? Like we don't know how many different potential options there are for a pick.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, Richard, there's only 23 potential options in this draft. And so what I thought we should do, we should draft 11 rounds, and we're going to find out which movie is the movie that doesn't get picked. I think that'll be even fun in itself. But if you don't know any shit what our drafts are,
I feel like I already know, but go ahead.
Yeah, I've got an idea. But what our drafts typically are, there were 7 rounds NFL style, but we're going to do 11 rounds, like the extreme NFL style.
Extreme.
Flip-flop picks to go back and forth, and whoever has the first pick in the first round gets the first pick in the second round. Back of the day, I flip the page to see who goes first, and I won. So on odd drafts, I get the first pick. Even drafts, Richard gets the first pick. It's an odd draft, Richard, so I...
damn it.
And honestly, this is one that's pretty difficult, because there are a lot of clear number ones, in my opinion.
And honestly, for me, I can only there's 2 number ones for me.
Yeah, and I've kind of the first pick I'm going to make. It might be a little bit of a shock, but it's really kind of what fully invested me.
Okay.
So Richard, if you're ready, like I said,
I am ready.
We're going to draft 11 rounds, 22 movies out of this. So I will go with the first one if you're ready.
I am ready. Tell me what it is.
So of all the Marvel Phase 1 through 3 movies, I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 I didn't see in theaters. You drugged me to the first one. Not really drugged me, but like, we should go see this movie. That's not my first pick, but I saw it, I'm like, that's kind of cool. And they started this initiative. It's the Avenger Initiative.
Yeah.
And there's a couple more movies, like I think Captain America, the first one I didn't see in theaters. I think the first Thor I didn't see in theaters. But it all culminated into the very first time on the big screen we saw all these superheroes at once.
Yep.
So, Richard, for my first pick, I'm going to go with the first Marvel's Avenger.
You know, if you hadn't have picked it, that would have been mine, hands down. And here's my reason why is because when you have like the way this style of storytelling hadn't really been done before, and so I felt like Avengers was the kind of the first time that you're like, hey, you know, all those movies you saw over the last 3-4 years, like we're putting them all in the same fucking movie, and then you're like, wait, what?
Well, is the first, like, I mean, everything has a cinematic universe now, but this was really the first movie, or first grouping of movies to do that.
Yeah.
And this movie, Richard, it's what got me into comics. I went and saw Marvel's Avengers I think I saw it in Carolina with a buddy. Saw it. I'm like, I'm getting into comics.
Yeah.
And like less than a couple weeks later, I get home, I'm buying comics.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, you got into comics, but I mean, like you bought Hawkeye, so like, I mean,
Hawkeye's a good comic though. But I did Hawkeye, I did like Batman, you know. But even now, like I don't do any of the big like Marvel, DC. I do all the independent stuff. But it really got like it was an experience. You know, it was a really good grossing movie. You know, you went and saw it. People went to see it multiple times.
Yeah, I think I saw it multiple times. It's for me, it's a pitch perfect movie. Like I felt like nothing in there was wasted. You know, no moments were wasted. It was, you know, like the story moved at a great pace. Everybody kind of has their moment in that movie. Like they're like, and having Joss direct it, I thought was a stroke of genius because like he wrote comic book, like he wrote, you know, stories for comic books. Like he loves comic books. Like and you can pull scenes from that movie, not even scenes. You can pull shots from that movie and it looks like they belong on a page. Like in terms of, you know, you could pull a shot from a movie and make it a panel and add a word bubble and you've got a comic.
Yeah, I mean that scene where it's circling each of the characters, I mean that's a splash page. You know, where they're all, you know, you got Black Widow cocking her thing, Hawkeye pulling back his arrow, Hulk like smashing his chest, Cap tightening his shield. And it had a great villain, Loki. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Again, and like I said, just kind of culminated from all these movies. And like of the first grouping of movies, I think it was the best one. Like I felt like all the other ones were kind of just placeholders, but this one really just kind of cemented this as a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like all, like, you know, aside from really one, I can think that like everything leading up to that was strong.
But that's what I'm going to go with my first pick. I'm going to go with Marvel's Avenger.
Well, like I said, that definitely would have been mine. So where am I going to go for my number one? You know what? I'm not burying the lead. I'm going to go Iron Man. Iron Man, my number.
Ooh, that was going to be my second pick.
Iron Man's number one for me because a few reasons. Like, yeah, you know, I think this, you know, Iron Man was the movie that, you know, kind of maybe planted the seed, but also was like, hey, we're not fucking around here. Like, we're not going to make a bunch of shitty movies and then culminate it in a shitty movie with all these characters into it. Like, we want to love what we do. We want to hyper focus and make a good character or make a good movie, you know, and not just that, but of all the characters you pick Iron Man, which I feel, you know, at the time really wouldn't be anybody's first choice of, oh, let's make an Iron Man movie.
No, I mean, if you looked at like the common, like I consider myself kind of like at that time, the common pop culture fan. Like I know about comics. I didn't know a lot about Iron Man. I knew it was a character. And you throw that up there and you get me invested in this guy, you know, Robert Downey Jr., perfect casting for it. And even at that time, he was
studio didn't want him.
A bit of a rough. Yeah.
Studio didn't want him. He was coming at it. Wasn't coming off a rough time. He was coming out of prison, Shawn. He was coming out of prison. Something like that. Yeah. Fun fact. And I think I mentioned this like episodes ago, but there is a scene in Iron Man where he's in the cave and he's playing cards. And they're playing. I don't remember what they were playing up, but they're playing this game. And Robert Downey Jr. was the one to think, oh, let's sit and play this game. We'll use this, this, and this. And like, well, that's all junk. He's like, no, I learned how to do this in prison. Like, this is how like this means this means this, and this is how we'll play. We'll play a game.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So again, another pitch perfect movie. Inherently, Iron Man, I feel, is a flawed character. You know, I mean, Iron Man wasn't, he's not this like paragon of humanity. He's not I would think he would be the first person to admit that he's not a hero.
Yeah, he's a reluctant hero. He's got substance issues and things like that.
In the comics, he's an alcoholic. He's a womanizer, but he puts on a metal suit that he made, and he's, Yeah,
and I think
he does heroic shit.
If that movie failed, we don't get the MCU. I think they had you think the second
that's
movie?
The first card.
I think it was Hulk?
That's where you lay the first card down is Iron Man. Like, granted, at this point in the game, this is Marvel. They don't, they're not, I feel like they don't have that Disney money behind them yet. So
they weren't even part of Disney.
Yeah.
Yet. They were just Marvel Studios.
They don't have that Disney money behind them. So like, hey, let's, we can't do Spider-Man because somebody else owns that. We can't do the X-Men. Somebody owns that. We can't, all we have are essentially from a comic standpoint, all the heroes we have are kind of B-listers. Iron Man was in the Avengers. Don't get me, like, he was one of the original Avengers, sure. But I mean, that wasn't the guy that people were coming to see.
Yeah, I mean, you already proved that Spider-Man and stuff like that was selling point.
Yeah, it was Spider-Man and X-Men. Like those were the characters that Hollywood was like, I guess we can do something with this, And then Marvel was like, okay, well, let's start with Iron Man, which is a ballsy move. And they picked Jon Favreau to direct.
Yeah.
Who at the time I would say wasn't. I mean, he had a name. But, I feel like Iron Man was the movie that kind of gave him some bona fides.
Yeah, I just feel like that proves that with less you can make more. Because if they would have had Spider-Man, X-Men, and all those, you probably would have saw them push that first. But I think because they had to do more with less, they were able to be more creative. Like they just could come up with better ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Iron Man, come on, give it up. The cornerstone of the house that Marvel built.
Well, I was hoping you would pick this movie so it would make it easier for my second round pick, but this is like a draft filled with just great movies. So I won't bury the lead too much either. My second round pick, I want to go with the last Avengers movie we just saw, and it's the biggest grossing movie of all time, and that has to be Avengers Endgame. This is a movie that's been 10 years in the waiting. You knew it was going to be split between Infinity War and this. Mm-hmm. Infinity War was a great movie in itself that left you like just wanting this even more. I thought they did a great job with the time travel pieces in it. I thought it was a great bookend to the whole series.
Yeah.
It was a great tie-in for Iron Man. Like you get to see him get his last hurrah. Captain America gets his last hurrah a little bit. It definitely kind of just... And it did a great job of ending everything. I know typically whenever you see these movies, and you knew there was going to be a Phase 4, but you would expect them to do kind of that little comic book stinger at the end where, oh, Thanos isn't really dead, or, oh, here's the next person you're going to face.
No, they're like, no, it's done. It's done.
Yeah,
we finished it. Well, not just that, but it also celebrated, it celebrated the movies that came before it because we got to go back in time to the movies that came before it.
Oh, yeah.
We
got to see what brought us here to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went and saw it think I saw it like 2 or 3 times, and the second time it was still good. I'm excited for it to come out on tape to watch it again.
Yeah.
But
did you just say tape?
Yeah, I did.
You totally showed your age right there.
What's a tape? Oh, kids. Be kind. Please rewind. Well, I mean, we went to a Blockbuster in a movie, so why not? But again, it was a great movie. I thought they did a great job setting everything up. It was definitely dangerous, too, kind of how they ended Infinity War, because it's like, well, everybody knows that they're going to come back.
Right.
And they did a great job of doing it. Like, it made sense. It flowed well.
Yeah.
It felt like a complete movie. Yeah, like I said, it ended everything, celebrated everything. No stinger at the end to be like, oh, well, this is who you're going to be facing next. It just ended it. It was like a good comic book arc. It just finished. Mm-hmm. So for my second round pick, I have to go with Avengers Endgame.
Okay. Now, I know that this wouldn't be your second pick, and this might surprise you. Number 2 for me, I'm actually going to say Winter Soldier.
Huh, okay.
Now let me explain why. Okay? So, Winter Soldier, like, number 1, this is where the Russo brothers start, okay? Like, their first foray into the MCU is with Winter Soldier. So, the guys that carry us through Civil War and Infinity War and all the way to Endgame, this is their genesis, is Winter Soldier. Okay? So you have that. Number 2, you have this huge ass fucking plot twist in the movie. Yeah. You have, like, holy shit, like, Hydra's still around? Like, they're still a thing? Oh, they've been lying dormant and they're fucking they've been all secret for the last, 60 years? Holy shit. And not only did it flip that movie on its side, like an M. Night Shyamalan fucking what a twist, but also flipped the script on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's right, yeah.
Where that show was, because that show was getting, like, when it first came out, people were like, well, the show's kind of slow. Like, there isn't really much happening. And then that movie came out, and everybody was like, what the fuck? And then that whole show changed direction. Like, on it, like, from one episode to the next, that whole show flipped script.
And just to kind of time, because I remember specifically going and seeing this movie, and that was like 5 years ago at this point, but... So you had Avengers. Avengers was awesome. I'm just going into the timeline of these movies when they're released. Went and saw Iron Man 3, and I was like, very disappointed. Went and saw Thor: The Dark World, was kind of disappointed. And so this was kind of like, all right, strike 1, strike 2. Are these comic book movies over? Boom, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I went in with super low expectations. Just knocked it out of the ballpark. It was great. That was the first, that was when Falcon came in too, right?
Yeah, Yeah, Falcon showed up in Winter Soldier, and now they get a show together.
They do, yeah. And what's cool about that too is this whole, like, the twist part is what they play on in Endgame. They play on that the whole time with, like, well, we didn't know these guys were Hydra.
Yeah, well, and even in Age of Ultron, like, that starts where they're attacking a Hydra base.
That's right, yeah.
So, Hydra becomes this, holy shit, we got to take care of this thing. And the whole thing, starts from Winter Soldier. And you thought Hydra was just this thing. It was like, it's this, like, throwaway fucking, like, evil organization that, we put Captain America's fighting. And then Winter Soldier, you're like, what the fuck? They're actually still around?
What's interesting, I didn't realize, I thought the Russo brothers wrote these movies. They didn't. It was Christopher Marcus and
Marcus and McFeely. Yeah, Marcus and McFeely. Yeah. They're the ones that wrote Winter Soldier, and then they did...
They did Winter Soldier, they did Civil War, they did Infinity War, and they did Endgame.
Yeah.
The Russos haven't written any of it. I thought they did for some reason, but... I'm sure they probably had a hand in it, but
number 3, the third reason that this is my number 2 pick is because it gave me an understanding of what they were it gave me an understanding of what they're trying to do with these movies. Like the first few, they're like, hey, here's this new character. This is Captain America. Oh, here's this new guy. This is Thor. But with Winter Soldier, it showed you that, hey, like these aren't just movies. These aren't just comic book movies. Like we could do all sorts of shit and put superheroes in it. Like, tell me the difference between Winter Soldier and a Jason Bourne movie.
Yeah, it's a spy thriller.
It is. It's Winter Soldier's a spy thriller with a superhero in it, which is great. And it, like I said, I felt like it kind of showed like, hey, we can do these as genre films. We can do these as genre flicks and still put the characters in it. And the whole thing still makes sense and it still works. And by doing it that way, it kind of, you're not just getting a sequel to a movie. Winter Soldier's not, I feel like not just a sequel to Captain America. Winter Soldier is, like you said, it's a spy thriller with a superhero in it. And then you kind of see that as it goes on, Doctor Strange is a, mystic movie with a superhero in it, I'm trying to think. Ant-Man is a heist movie with a superhero in it.
Yeah. Guardians is your space, comedy kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, Winter Soldier was one. So like I said, I saw Avengers, loved it. Saw the next two, was kind of like, okay, like maybe I'm kind of done with this. Back in 2014, I'm thinking, man, I'm kind of done with this.
Right.
Winter Soldier comes out and you're super invested back in it again. And
yeah,
it was a good movie. It definitely got that like comic book rejuvenated feel going.
Yeah. So that's number 2 for me.
So keep going on this kind of knocking out of the ballpark, good hit after hit. My third round pick, Richard, is going to be the movie that came out right after Winter Soldier. This movie, Richard, they announced it. Everybody's like, who the fuck are these? Like, is this there's a raccoon in it? And you see the trailer and you're like, this looks fucking amazing. Like, I want to see this movie. Richard, my third round pick, one that surprised me, did see this one 3 times, was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, so this one did not, it didn't surprise, even with the trailer, I was like, oh, this looks kind of hokey. Like, there's a fucking trash panda in it. Like, I was so mad about this movie that I actually had to be convinced to go see it. My father was like, let's go see Guardians. Like, we're not doing anything. We're just hanging out. Like, let's go see Guardians. And he was like, let's go together. And I was like, man, I don't know. I was like, well, we got the kids. I was like, okay, so it was me and the kids and my dad, and we went and saw Guardians. I was like, I'm like 30 minutes in. I'm like, holy shit, this movie's fucking great.
Yeah.
There's you get the music I know in it. There's, my God.
Like
the music.
Tell me you still don't listen to Awesome Mix 1. Like, I listen to that all the time.
I was listening to it today. 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, when I heard about it, I'm like, okay, this is another group of characters I don't know. But when they dropped that trailer, and I watched it like 4 or 5 times in a row, because I'm like, this looks fucking hilarious. It's like everything I want. It's space comedy. It's a bunch of bumbling guys. It's like Firefly to an extent. Which I love. There's like, have you ever seen the meme where it's like 3 panels where like it's the boss telling these workers like, we got to figure something out like this. Why can't we do this? And the guy will say something and they throw him out the window.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a meme that came out right after this just exploded. And it's like Fox executive. It's like, Guardians of the Galaxy did great. We need to do something like this. Why don't we have something like this? And the next panel, the guy's like, well, we had Firefly. And they throw him out the window. But it's like one of the Marvel movies that my wife loves. She loves watching Guardians, so it definitely has got some nostalgia feels there for me. My mother-in-law and I are big Firefly fans, so I took her to see this after I saw it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I went and saw it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she will love this. So we went and saw that together, and it's kind of like when Guardians 3 comes out, we'll go see it together. So it's got a lot of great feels to it. It's one of those that's very memorable too. I mean, some of these movies kind of start molding together, but that's one that definitely you remember going and seeing it. So my third round pick, I'm going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right. Number 3. Okay. Number 3, I'm going to go with a movie that I'm going to go with. Yeah. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Ragnarok.
Okay.
Because it's in the same Guardians vein, but I feel that with Ragnarok you had Thor and Thor the Dark World, and I felt like those two movies were very serious movies. Kenneth Branagh directed Thor. I can't remember if he did Dark World, but Kenneth Branagh directed Thor, and this is a guy that's like, like he did Hamlet, for fuck's sake. Like that's, and so like that's, you're getting this very like Shakespearean tale with Thor and stuff like that. But with Ragnarok, even Thor, even Hemsworth himself was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, the character just seems kind of stale. Like he's not really, there's not really an arc for him. He's not really progressing or going anywhere.
All the Infinity ones, or all the Avenger ones that he was in, besides the first one, he's kind of just a passe character. Like in Age of Ultron, he's gone for half the movie.
Yeah. He's I think he just started to feel stale in the role. Ragnarok shows up and he's like, oh, like I can go somewhere. This is showing a progression for Thor as a character. Like he's not just, the guy that talks old English when he shows up on Earth.
We see that extreme in Endgame. You get, the great Thor, the big Thor.
Yeah. Love that.
Thorbowski, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's why, and that's awesome because I think Chris Hemsworth, he's going to be around for a while now too, because he's got Guardians he'll probably be in. There's a new Thor coming out he'll be in.
Ragnarok was the movie that was like, okay, like I'm sold. Like let's do more of these. As long as like if we're doing shit like this, like I'm down. Give me more of this. Because I think it shows his range as a kid, like not just it shows Hemsworth range as because Hemsworth he's actually a good actor. Like he's not just the tall blonde pretty boy. I mean he is a tall blonde pretty boy, but he's not just the tall blonde pretty boy that that can't really do much. Like he's fucking funny. He's funny in Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's a fun movie, and it's definitely one of those, like, as you're watching it, like, I'm going to come see this again.
Yeah.
And there's, of the 23 Marvel movies, maybe 10 of them I've thought that, and this would definitely be one of them. And it was just different, too. That's why I like some of them, like I said, they kind of start falling into the same routine a little bit. Not a bunch of them, but this one was definitely just a curveball. It was completely different from the other Thors. It was in that Guardians vein, but it was different. I really enjoyed it. Introduced you to a bunch of new characters. You got to see Loki is funny. Yeah. You got to see this whole other planet. You got to see, Hulk in a whole different light. Like it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Kind of refreshed Hulk as a character too.
Yeah, it did. And it kind of tied in from Infinity War a little bit because was it Infinity War or Age of Ultron? Because you see Hulk leave, and that's where he goes, and it kind of started picking back up from where.
Well, and then it also ties into Infinity War because at the end of Ragnarok is when Thanos shows up.
Yeah, it kind of kicked right into that.
Yeah,
because it was a couple before that. They had Ragnarok, then Panther, then Infinity War.
Right,
but you definitely see him show up. There's that big ship. You're like, well, what's this? And then that's what they kick into for Infinity War.
Yeah. So there you go. There's pick number 3 for me is Ragnarok.
Well, I had either that or this next pick, and I can't pick anything besides this one, I think. So, Richard, for my 4th round pick, I got Endgame. So I'm only gonna have to go with the first one for Endgame. That's gonna be Avengers: Infinity War. This was a great movie. Again, it was another one I wanted to see multiple times.
It's The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah, it was a movie that was an event too.
Yeah,
and I went to it opening night. And you're sitting there watching it, and it's just like you're fighting to get the stones. You're fighting to get the thing, and they're going at it right at the end, and you hear the snap.
Yep.
And at that point, you're like, oh, because you've been in this theater for like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like, what the fuck does this mean? And then he disappears, and like nothing's happening. It's quiet. You're like, it didn't work, did it?
Yeah, maybe it didn't work.
Yeah. Then you see one character fall.
Yep.
Then another character fall.
Yeah.
And Richard, I don't know if you were in the. I think you went like opening night, but the theater when that happened, like the first character, I think it was Bucky, turns into dust.
Yeah.
The crowd is silent, like the most eerily, like creepy silence I've ever heard. All you hear whenever one goes, go.
See, in the theater I was in, that didn't happen until Black Panther until Black Panther got dusted. That's when people are like, because then I think everybody was like, well, okay, like Bucky, like who gives a shit about Bucky? And then there was somebody else, and it's like, whatever. And then Black Panther, and everybody was like, wait, what?
Yeah, because when it happened,
they're making another. Aren't they making another black guy? Aren't they? They're doing.
I just saw that a month ago.
Wait, I thought they were. Hang on.
Yeah, because when it happened, I'm like, oh, well, there goes his right hand guard. But it's like, oh no, that's him. In my theater, a guy like 6 rows up is like, no, my prince, or no, my king. And then like you cut to Groot, like when you see Groot just survived, like, did that not make you want to bawl? And then I mean, then you get back to the planet with Spider-Man, and Iron Man, and he's like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
And that was after you lose like pretty much all the Guardians that were there.
Yeah. Everyone's gone. I think Spider-Man was the last one because they said his like spider sense helped him fight it a little bit.
Everybody, the only people that were left on Titan was
Iron Man and Nebula.
Iron Man and Nebula. That was it. That's all that was left.
Oh, but when he falls into Tony Stark's hands and Tony Stark has that like realization, like,
there's nothing I can do.
And then it ends. It's done.
Yeah.
And as you're walking out of this theater, like you're like, well, they're gonna like show credits. Well, maybe at the end. Well, Nick Fury made it. Oh, Nick Fury didn't make it either. And when you're walking out of the theater, it's like leaving a funeral. Like nobody's talking. People they're like standing there, like, I'm sorry for your loss.
Like everybody's just like looking at the ground because they're just like, well, what does this mean?
Yeah,
like
because you're like, okay, well, what was the next movie? I think the next movie might have been Captain Marvel.
No, the next movie was
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Which you're like, well, that takes place before this, right? And then they had Captain Marvel, which was taking place in the 90s, and then Endgame. So you're like, well,
Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't. Well, Ant-Man and the Wasp took place like around the same time because the end credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp is when he's lost in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And then Hank and Janet get dusted. That's what you see at the end credits of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Which that was a good tie-in because you watch the end credits, you're like, okay, well, where does this take place within the? You're like, oh, okay, I see where it takes place.
Yeah.
I think Captain Marvel's like way in the past, but man, it was a movie that left an impression on you. Like, I think that's a movie that I love the ones that I went to because it leaves an impression on you.
Yeah, I agree.
My thoughts, like Iron Man, the impression on that was me and you going to it. Like it very much like I saw the childness joy in your eyes. This one I saw the weeping of everybody. But I feel good. I've got like all the good Avengers movies in this draft.
You do.
Good about
you
this.
do. I'm picking. I'm kind of going. I'm trying to mix it up, or I'm trying not really mix it up, but I'm trying to culminate a different list, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, for my 4th round pick, I'm going to go with Avengers Infinity War.
All right. You know what? My next pick, I'm going with Homecoming. No.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do Homecoming.
That was going to be my next pick.
So Homecoming for me was like, oh, well, this is a Spider-Man movie. Like I think that when we started, by the time we got to Avengers, I think all of us collectively were saying to ourselves, like, man, wouldn't it be great if they did a Spider-Man movie? Like, imagine what it would be like if if Marvel did a Spider-Man movie. Like, we wouldn't, like, no emo dance sequence, no fucking, like, what would that be like?
You have to backtrack a little bit because it was 2015 when Ant-Man came out. Like, the end credits, or right at the end, they talked about, because they just got the rights, or they just sealed a deal with Sony to make basically bring Spider-Man into this.
Yeah.
And in Ant-Man, they drops like, hey, we even got a guy with webs. They're like, oh, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then guess what? You get to see Spider-Man in Civil War, and then knowing that he's going to have his own movie soon.
So with Homecoming, you finally get a Spider-Man movie done by Marvel, the thing that you've been wanting, and it's a good Spider-Man movie because it's a good Spider-Man. You know, he looks like he's in high school. That's the other thing. You got Michael fucking Keaton.
What I love too, like we talked about this, you know, you're like Homecoming. I think you talked about like the dance. Or maybe somebody I heard was talking like it's the dance. We're like, no, it's him coming home to Marvel. Yeah, there's a dance involved in it too. But it's Spider-Man coming back to Marvel.
Yeah.
And, you know, you see him in Captain America was great. And Spider-Man Homecoming kind of tied into that a little bit. Like you see his home footage. Like you said, he looks like a high school kid. You skip a lot of the, you know, the prequel or the origin story of Spider-Man because we all know what that is.
Yeah.
It was just, and like I said, Michael Keaton's character kind of tied into the events of, I think it was Avengers with all the collapsing of, you know, the space attacking and them losing their money or their jobs or whatever. And learning that these superheroes are kind of causing them chaos. And
it kind of deals with a little bit, in a way, it deals with the aftermath of the Avengers, which kind of also you get with Age of Ultron.
But that was surprising too, because you're like, well, this is Sony distributing, but it's Marvel. Like, how much is it going to really? Like, is it going to kind of be its own thing or what? But I like that they put it right on Front Street. They're like, nope, this is right in the Avengers MCU universe.
Yeah, this isn't something that's going to be separate, and he only shows up, you know, maybe once in a while. No. You get a Spider-Man movie. Here it is. Here's Spider-Man, and he looks like he belongs in high school, which is great and wasn't really something that I thought needed to be said, but hey, here we are.
Well, Richard, for my 5th round pick, this was another movie that I don't think it really surprised me, but it was definitely, as you're watching it, it felt like an experience, and that's going to be Black Panther.
Yeah.
So we saw Black Panther in Civil War.
That was next for me, too.
Oh, it was like, you see Black Panther, you're like, oh, I want to know more about this character.
Yeah.
You get to go to Wakanda. You see this like awesome hidden world. You get what's his face that plays was it Killmonger?
Yeah,
I don't know what that actor's name is.
He's like a fucking he's like a super powered James Bond.
Yeah, well, and so like you see like a lot of the frustrations with Marvel movies was the villains sometimes. Like they felt like they were one dimensional. Felt like it's like, well, you know, the villain is somebody who's trying to get the superhero superpower to use it for bad, and they don't really make it. Killmonger had a great story.
Killmonger was a believable villain.
Yes, I mean he was like a kid who basically was taken away from this Wakanda world where felt like he had the rights to it.
Yeah,
he comes back to try to reclaim it. He actually kicks the shit out of Black Panther in a fair fight.
Does.
And then the last like battle on the subway train of Wakanda was awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, this is really future stuff, but we're getting kind of a what if story around this too, which is super awesome.
I love all the tech. I
think I saw this one twice as well. Like it was one of those like halfway through, I'm like, I got to see this again.
I think I saw it twice.
But yeah,
but like he's a superpowered James Bond. Oh yeah, and he's also the king of a fucking country.
Yeah.
So you get get superhero fights, politics, and in a way, kind of like spy shit. All good.
There's a little supernatural stuff because like he gets the plant that gives him the power. But yeah, my 5th round pick, Richard, I'm gonna go with Black Panther. Yeah.
Also, Black Panther, fun or nice little bit I liked, which you know. I don't know if it means anything to anybody, but it was a movie where you got Andy Serkis and
that's right, yeah.
Martin Freeman in a room together. I was like, oh, it's Bilbo and fucking Gollum. They're hanging out. So yeah, definitely. Oh, guys. Okay, so you pick Black Panther. So now I'm gonna go Guardians 2. That's my next one. So with Guardians 2, you had another fucking slew of awesome music. You had Ego the Living Planet, Which I was like, how the fuck are you going to do? I was like, how the fuck are you going to put the living planet in a goddamn comic book movie? But at that point, I was like, you know what? I was wrong about Guardians 1. I was like, I trust you. I trust you guys. You'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it was fine because you had the planet looking like it did, but then Ego was also a person, and that person was goddamn fucking Kurt Russell.
Yeah, you get to see young Kurt Russell back in the day in Missouri banging.
Oh, I love that.
Mom.
That was great.
And I love the tie-in too. I think that's actually in canon too, right? Like Star-Lord's dad was a god or something like that.
Shit, I don't remember. I didn't really read that much in it.
But either way,
I didn't read that much of the Guardians.
It had some sadness too, because like he's like always been, trying to find, not really trying to find his dad, but definitely like didn't have a parent figure. But then
I felt like Guardians 2 had the most quotable, was probably one of the most quotable movies.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Or Taserface, like we mentioned at the top. Taserface was in Guardians 2. Oh God, see, now I'm trying to think of other lines.
But that was a tearjerker too, because what's his name?
Yondu.
Mary Poppins. Yondu. You find out that Yondu was really like a father figure for him.
Yeah.
And it's like he gave up, he sacrificed himself for Star-Lord, and oh man, like that was a
that one.
Like,
that one got you in the feels.
It's kind of the whole like any person can be a dad, but it takes a real man to be a father kind of thing. I think it's the same.
Yeah.
It's like, his dad, it's the, living planet, but his real father was Yondu, which.
Yeah. And then at the end, they have the little fucking celebration for him, and they're all the ships show up. Sylvester Stallone shows up.
Yeah, you get the actual original Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah. Badass. So yeah, there's me, Guardians 2.
Love it. That's a good pick. Well, that was my next pick. But again, there's a plethora of movies to pick from. So for my 6th round pick, Richard, I am going to go with, like you talked about, Captain America.
I did.
Winter Soldier.
Yep.
I'm going to go with, it was basically, what would you say, like Avengers 3.5, and that's Captain America Civil War.
Yeah, well, 2.5. Because you had Avengers, then Age of Ultron, and then Civil War.
That's right, yeah. So 2.5. But, you got to see and Civil War was a huge storyline. They talked about doing it. I wish they extended it a little more.
I wish it would have been a bit longer, because I felt like it didn't really, like you introduced Black Panther in there, you introduced Spider-Man in there. Like it almost like it felt like the movie needed a bit more room to breathe.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it could have been a phase in itself. Because, like you said, the Civil War storyline is huge, but I felt they used it more as they used Civil War and not really the story Civil War, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, they have the flip on it that Bucky was the one that killed Tony Stark's parents, which was kind of a little bit of a shock, but then it's like, he asked Cap's like, well, did you know? And he's like, yeah. It's like, well, when did you find out, Cap? Like, that seems kind of weird.
Yeah,
so there's a little bit.
He didn't say anything. I kind of get it, but
you think that was the start of Phase 3, and it wasn't until Endgame, so 3 years later in movie release time, before Cap and Tony Stark got back together.
That's true. So it took a while for them to kind of like culminate, reconcile, settle that. Yeah, reconcile. Definitely.
It's not one that I think I really wanted to see twice. Like, I think I did see it twice, but it wasn't one like the others where, like, halfway through, I'm like, oh, I got to go see this again.
The superhero fight was pretty good.
Yeah, the airport fight was awesome. Bringing in Ant-Man the way they did was kind of cool. Like, you got to see Giant Ant-Man, which was awesome.
Yeah.
The end fight with Bucky, Iron Man, and Cap was awesome. You got the the shooting of
very
the
emotional
onto the shield.
Yeah, very emotional. Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo's in there. He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Who doesn't really, and also, okay, consider this, all right? Avengers, Civil War. In Civil War, nobody dies. Even the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They arrest him or whatever.
Everybody lives in that movie. Nobody dies in that movie. Apparently they were saving it all up for fucking Infinity War, but nobody dies in Civil War, even the bad guy. Which is why now he's going to be the bad guy in Falcon and Winter Soldier, because they didn't kill him off. So,
and I like that they're, because that was kind of, again, the running thing. Besides Loki, Loki was the only villain that really stuck around, but all of them, they die right away.
Yeah.
So keeping them in the loop and keeping them able to be in these movies is very comic booky.
Oh yeah, totally. So,
but yeah, for my sixth round pick,
War.
I want to go with Captain America: Civil War.
All right. Where am I headed? You know what? It might seem a little high on the list. Well, not really, but I'm gonna go with the other Spider-Man movie. I'm gonna go with Far From Home, going all the way to the end, because, and I'll tell you why. There's one moment in the movie, which spoilers are if anybody hasn't seen it, on Far From Home. Well, there's two moments I want to talk about. One is Peter and Happy in the plane. And they start talking about Tony. And I'm sitting in the theater and I'm getting fucking emotional about it. And then I had to stop myself and I'm like, wait, Richard, Tony Stark isn't real. He's a character in a movie. Why are you getting upset?
I thought, like, the part that got me on the plane is when Happy's watching Peter Parker, like, starting to build his own thing.
Yeah.
Like Tony did.
Yeah.
It kind of has that, like, oh, it's like a chip off the old block, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
and it's fucking, and it's Jon Favreau, the guy that fucking did Iron Man, it's this whole, like, hey, I helped start this and now I want to help continue it. Like, I feel like he's the next step. And Tony felt like Peter was the next step. And oh my God, it's like this whole fucking, like, passing of the torch thing. And you're just,
Well,
okay.
And like Spider-Man, like you talked about, Tony Stark being a reluctant hero, but Spider-Man doesn't think he's capable. Like he's reluctant because of that. Yeah. And the realization, like when he gave up the glasses and like the realization happened with him, he's like, oh, I fucked up, Happy. Like, Tony entrusted me and I screwed up. And, Happy's just like, well, what are we going to do about it? Like, we got to fix it. The only complaint I have is the end credits on this one is them exposing Spider-Man as Peter Parker.
Yeah, because then you're like, where the fuck are we going to go with this?
Yeah, because I mean, again, that was the big Civil War reveal back in the comics when he, he's on the front steps of, I don't remember the White House where it was, pulls off his mask, says, I'm Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But he didn't even get the ability to expose himself. He was exposed.
But to be fair, at that point when he revealed himself, like he wasn't a kid anymore. Like he was, married and he,
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, him exposing himself in his like, I can't, like in the comics, I think like exposing himself in like his mid-20s is a far cry from him when he's like 17,
18. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I kind of agree with you on the end credits thing. The other moment is the whole sequence of Mysterio fucking with Spider-Man. Yeah, like that whole thing. I felt they just like they found an issue with Spider-Man that had Mysterio in it, and they just ripped like 3 pages out, and they're like, "Let's do this."
Yeah. Oh, where he's in like the VR world.
Yeah.
It's like Mysterio holding his head like a fishbowl, and the Spider-Man's fighting him. You get the zombie Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I felt like they just, like I said, they pulled like pages out of a comic book and just like slapped them down. Like, let's do this. Let's do this. All of this.
Well, that's one of those, like, if you did acid, like you'd drop acid and watch those scenes and fuck with your head.
Awesome. Also, they still managed to put a fishbowl on Mysterio's head.
Yeah.
Well, and make it plausible, which is great.
And I like that they tied it into the whole Tony Stark Iron Man thing too. Like they put Mysterio in with the barf machine, and then all the other guys, there are people that pulled him from, basically they had issues with Iron Man. Like, well, fuck him. Like superheroes are the thing. People will believe anything. So let's be just this crazy. And I wish that I didn't know that Mysterio was a bad guy. Because if you went into this movie and watched it, because the first like half of the movie when they're fighting those elementals, like when it ends, like I kind of felt like, oh, okay, well, it's over. Like it had that feel of the third act. And then they expose it like, nope, it's not the third act.
Nope.
That's just like the halfway point. And if you had that twist, it'd just be this kind of like that, like, oh,
no, I agree. I think if I didn't know that Mysterio was a bad guy, which I mean, that's just, the meta from reading comics. You're like, no, like no,
He's doing something. That's his
I
thing.
don't buy it.
But
so yeah,
that's a good pick.
Far From Home.
Well, for my 7th round pick, I am going to go with, it's one that has our favorite actor, I think, in the world, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Damn it.
It was a very mystic, very like magic. It was like, I haven't been exposed too much to it, but Doctor Strange, right?
Doctor Strange.
You get here, you learn this. It's like kind of kung fu. It's mythical. It's, you have this guy, this fall from grace.
It's a solid origin. It's a solid origin movie. Like, it's Doctor Strange, and it introduces you to the whole multiple dimensions. It gives you it. You have the ancient one in there.
Thinking future, you're getting exposed to it's going to be the multiverse is his next movie.
Yeah,
which will be freaking badass.
Yeah,
I love it. You get like Doctor Strange. Well, that's strange. Like you get that whole interaction with him, the bad guy. I can't remember how it went, but
you finally get and you get like you not only get an origin story for Doctor Strange, but you also get the origin story for his main villain, which is going to be Mordo. Like Mordo was his like nemesis, who like also awesome fucking casting on Mordo's side. Mm-hmm. Hey, who was that bad guy in Firefly? But
it was a good one. I don't think I saw that one twice. Like I think it was the same one. Like watching it once was good. I probably need to watch it on Netflix or wherever it's on at some point. But my 7th round pick, I'm gonna go with Doctor Strange.
All right, whittling down here. Next pick, I'm going with First Avenger, Captain America. I'm going with my gut on these. First Avenger, because you had, like that, like when I first, my dad was a huge Captain America fan, and like it was always like the quintessential fucking like the Batman Joker, nemesis relationship. It was, the only comparison that you had in the Marvel world was Cap and the Red Skull. Like they were the complete antithesis of each other.
This was the first movie that talked about the Infinity Stones too, wasn't it?
Well, they didn't even call them Infinity Stones, but you're right. This is the first movie that you have an Infinity Stone, because you have the Space Stone. I mean, they keep calling it the Tesseract, but that's what it is. They don't call it an Infinity Stone or anything like that, but they do say, this is the Tesseract, and we come to find out years later that the Tesseract is just a cube that holds the Space Stone. So, and also I feel like Captain America shows, again, it's a good origin story. It tells you why he is the person that gets the super soldier serum, but why he's a fucking hero. And why he's really, technically the first superhero. Yeah,
the only thing, my biggest complaint about is I felt they really stuck around him like selling war bonds a little too much. Like that part kind of drug for me. Like this was one I didn't see at theaters. I think I watched it on Netflix or rented it, and it took me 1 or 2 times to get all the way through it. But like once he finally becomes Captain America, and he's actually, you get the great scene where he jumps on the grenade. That's super emotional.
Yeah.
He becomes Captain America, but then it kind of drains a little bit there. But once he gets into the war and starts doing the things, then it gets like exciting again. But
I'll give you that. A bit of a dragging point. Yeah.
I mean, not horrible, but, and again, like it's the 3rd movie or 4th movie in this. I guess it was fifth movie.
In Phase 1, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fifth.
But it did lead up to Avengers. Like that's what you see on the end of him waking up from the ice and running out to New York City. And
yeah, there you go. First Avenger, great movie. I loved it.
Well, for my 8th round pick, Richard, it's one of the more recent ones, and it didn't have anything super super exciting. I would say it was right after the Infinity War movie, so it was kind of like, where does this take place? But it's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
You finally get to see the Wasp do her thing. And I do think that, the ending of it really kind of, put where this is happening at. I don't really know if I have a ton I really can say about this, but, you've got a good villain in this, I believe. Like, I had a good time watching them do this. You get to see Pym's lab shrink down to like a box-sized thing.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Michael Pena all the way for me.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. It wasn't like the best. I think we're starting to get towards the the back half of these movies. But for my 8th round pick, I'd say I would pick Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay, for my next pick, Shawn. If anybody asks, when I say anybody, I mean my wife. This was my number 1 pick. Okay, for my next pick, I'm going with Captain Marvel. So, I mean, I thought Captain Marvel was it was a good solid movie. You finally get kind of a backstory on Nick Fury, which is cool. It's set in the 90s. Also, that's my time. They throw some music in there, like, and all that music was like shit I listened to when I was a teenager, so I was down with it all. I mean, obviously there's ones that I liked more. But Captain Marvel for me was, a good solid movie. When she finally figures out like, oh, I'm a fucking badass. Like that was kind of dope. But like I said, if my wife asks, this was my number 1 pick because she loves this movie. Like loved this movie. I think she saw it twice and she never watches movies twice.
I didn't hate it or anything like that, but it's definitely like seeing the trailers. I wasn't super psyched because I wasn't sure how she was going to portray Captain Marvel. But when you get in there and you kind of see how she's playing the character, I dug it. I felt like it was kind of wasted in Endgame, and I'm really not sure what this character is going to do going forward.
I agree. I do feel like her character was kind of wasted in Endgame. I 100% agree with that.
She's kind of like the Superman. Like it's just way overpowered. It's like, oh, you stay over there, Iron Man. I'll take care of this. Fly right through the ship.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you're asking, I would say Captain Marvel's probably the closest to Superman that they have. So I don't know. I guess I have faith that Marvel's going to figure out a way to combat the quote Superman problem. So we'll see.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. Well, for my 9th round pick, Richard, I already picked Ant-Man and the Wasp. And of the ones that are remaining, I think this will be the next one I pick. It was going to be either Captain Marvel or this. So I'm just going to go with the original Ant-Man.
Okay.
It was the ending to
Phase 2. It was a heist movie. Yeah, it's a heist movie.
It was a heist movie. Like you said, you got the one guy who does the whole recap of everything. Was great.
I loved it.
Paul Rudd, like I think when you found that Paul Rudd was going to be in this, it was kind of like, all right, Paul Rudd.
You were kind of trying to figure it out. Like, how is, like, I think when you heard that it was going to be Paul Rudd, I think you were sitting there trying to figure out the tone of the movie. Like, how is this going to go?
But it was a good bookend to Phase 2. You're like, okay, where's this going? It led into Civil War a little bit, which was nice. But yeah, not a ton to really say about it. Only went to see it once, and it was good enough. So yeah, my 9th round pick, I'm going to go with Ant-Man.
Okay. So for me, I'm going to go Iron Man 2.
Ooh, okay.
So Mickey Rourke does Mickey Rourke just not like look fantastic on the screen? Like with the hair and the fucking, like he just looks awesome.
Yeah. Well, he was just coming off The Wrestler, so he was like kind of a hot commodity at this point. And it's been so long, I kind of forgot this. This was 2 years after the first Iron Man.
Yeah. Because Iron Man did so well, they're like, well, let's make another Iron Man. And then Marvel's like, we're doing that, but let's also do
There's only it's the third movie in the series of all this because it was Iron Man, then they did Incredible Hulk, which was kind of like and so you kind of needed something to be like, hey, well, listen, we can do this.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Iron Man 2 did that. It was good. It was this whole,
Whiplash, cool character.
Yeah, somebody trying to take his weapons and move forward with them, and yeah, I dug Iron Man 2. It was one of those that kind of got you back into it.
You've got War Machine. It's when War Machine shows up.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh shit. What else happens in that movie? I love the scene where in Iron Man and Iron Man 2, the scenes where he's building shit, like I'm all about it. I can watch those sequences like once a day. Those are great. Coulson's in the movie.
True. Yeah.
Nick Fury, Black Widow. That's your first Black Widow appearance too, is Iron Man 2. Was
it Iron Man 2 or Thor? I can't remember.
No, Black Widow.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, Iron Man 2.
Gosh, she's been in those for a long time. We kind of forget about that.
Yeah. She had bigger hair in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny to look back, like, it's been 10 years, and you look back at, like, Robert Downey Jr. from 2008, how young he looks.
Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, there you go. Iron Man 2. That's me.
Well, for my 10th round pick, I think I've got all the Avenger movies. So I kind of feel like I've capsulated the big ones out of this, but of the ones left, I got to go with Avengers Age of Ultron. Definitely wasn't my favorite of the Avengers.
I loved Ultron as a villain. Great villain.
I thought that was good. You really got everybody kind of knew about it. It was kind of the worst kept secret, but you've got that the Infinity Stones were a thing. Was that the one where we see Thanos for the first time at the end?
No, Thanos was an end credit in Avengers. That's where you first see him, is Avengers. Or the end credit in Avengers.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Man, that was even back then, too. They really slow-rolled Thanos, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
He was the mid-credits, right? Because the end credit was them eating the burgers for Avengers.
Right. He didn't actually speak until Guardians 1.
Yeah, well, it was, somebody said, oh, yeah, that's right, because they bring the scepter back, or they mention that Loki failed.
Ronan's, like, fighting with him.
Yeah. And, well, no, I'm talking about from Avengers, and they say something about courting death, and he's got a big slide.
He just smiles, yeah. Fun fact, the guy who's like, to cheat them is to court death. You know who that guy is?
Mm-mm.
The guy that's like supposed to be the head of the Chitauri, who like talks to Loki and, to cheat them is to court death. That's Alex Denisoff. That is Wesley from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
That's in IRL, that's Willow's husband.
Yeah. Agreed.
They are married and have a couple kids.
Yes, they do.
But it was, this was one of those too, like when it ended, it kind of tied up phase 2. And again, like a lot of people at this time, at least I was feeling like, are we getting superhero fatigue? And you had Iron Man 3, which really disappointed me. Thor: The Dark World, which kind of disappointed me. Winter Soldier, Guardians kind of be pumped back up. Age of Ultron was kind of like, but that's kind of why it's back towards the back of the list. I wouldn't say it's one that I think pushed anything forward a ton, but it was an okay movie. But again, you're going to have some stuff when you have 23 movies that aren't, amazing grand slams, but you're going to have doubles and triples. And I'd say this was probably a double.
Right. Okay. So, next pick for me, I'm going to go with the original Thor.
That's where you see Hawkeye for the first time.
You're right. First appearance of Hawkeye. Again, it's your origin movie, like how Thor shows up on Earth, and he meets Jane Foster for the first time, who we're gonna see in another Thor movie for Love and Thunder.
I'm curious about that. We talked about that during our Comic-Con LOB, so we'll see. It was definitely too, like when I watched that, it was okay, but like it was kind of a fish out of water story. Because you had Thor in the world, and he's like all confused by it, trying to find his hammer.
One thing that kind of took me aback, I was like, holy shit, they got Anthony fucking Hopkins to play Odin. Like
Yeah.
you were kind of
Oh, yeah.
like, whoa, like they're fucking serious now.
Yeah, you got him all the way through Ragnarok too.
Yeah, yeah, loved it. I did like Thor. I was happy with the Thor movie. As far as the origin movies go, it was probably it's towards the bottom for me. Like I liked Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange better as you know, like origin movies. But I mean, Thor was solid.
All right. So for my 11th round money shot pick, Richard, we got 3 movies left.
There are.
And I'm going to tag onto your Thor. And really, I think it was Endgame that made me kind of enjoy this movie a little bit more, but it was Thor the Dark World.
Yeah.
You know, you got the elves, you got a good interaction between him and Loki. It wasn't my favorite movie. It feels bad to be a money shot pick, but again, with all the 2 that are remaining, I definitely would not make my money shot pick. So, but
Yeah.
I'll end it on Thor the Dark World. It was the last movie we saw, you know, more of a serious Thor.
Yeah. Had the Dark Elves. Dark Elves were in that one.
Yeah, the Dark Elves were really cool.
Yeah, those were really cool. And that was also where you were like, oh, is Loki dead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, no. Yeah, he's dead. But then
Because I mean, it
Ragnarok-
happened, you know, Avengers happened, and then you were like, oh, okay, well, like Loki went back to Asgard, and now he's in jail. But wait, no. Oh, now he's out of jail. Oh, somebody stabbed him. Well, is he dead? He can't be. It's fucking Loki.
Brother.
He figured it out.
He did, too. That's why you still wonder if he's still alive.
Spoilers, he is still alive.
Well, in one realm or one multiverse.
Yeah. Even when he died, he didn't die.
My 11th final round pick is Thor the Dark World.
All right. All right. So it looks like I have 2 choices here. What am I going to pick? Yeah, I feel like I should just pick one and then we should just talk about the one that neither of us picked. So between these 2, but the 2 we're talking about is Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 3. Between these 2, which one would I put on my list? You know, honestly, I'm going to have to say Iron Man 3.
I would go the opposite.
Oh, so Iron Man 3 is on my list. So now we're going to talk about why I didn't like Hulk. I thought Edward Norton I think Edward Norton's a fantastic fucking actor. My problem with Hulk is it seemed like, and I did like the fact that Hulk it didn't start at the beginning. It's, you know, like it starts in the middle of his origin. Like, you know,
like what they did with Spider-Man. Like you kind of know the story. Here it is. We're starting.
Right.
Here, go.
But like, I felt like he just took this complete Jekyll and Hyde approach. And that's not really what I want. That's not really, you know, to me, that's not that character. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You know, with Ruffalo, he kind of, you know, there's kind of an arc where it progresses into him saying, you know, like we're the same. Like we are one. It's not Banner and the Hulk. It's you know, Bruce Banner's the Hulk. But with Incredible Hulk, like it all just felt like super. It just seemed cliche to me. And the villain of the Abomination, like I just felt like, okay, on a CG wise, just did not look good.
Yeah.
And the whole fight sequence just seemed kind of like a bit of a letdown. You know, the only part of Hulk that I really, really liked was the end credit when Iron Man showed up.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point. See, my biggest problem with Iron Man 3, I went and saw that opening night, and they were selling this Mandarin thing like as this was going to be this is like, oh my God, this is a great villain. And I felt like I kind of got bamboozled at the end. It's like, oh no, he's actually just an actor. Like he's not even really the real villain.
But it turns out he's not, because you're going to get him in Shang-Chi.
Well, you're going to get the Mandarin, yeah, but the person we saw as the Mandarin wasn't the Mandarin.
Right.
So that's the part I kind of was like,
which was a super head fake, because you know you got Sir Ben Kingsley to play the Mandarin, and then it turns out it's not really him. You're like, oh,
yeah. Well, and you have to watch. There's a short out there that they did. It's like him in jail.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think he gets
out
by the actual Mandarin.
I think
group.
I don't know. The 10 rings.
Hopefully he comes back. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I would have flip-flopped Iron Man 3 and the Hulk. It's just Iron Man 3 left a sour taste in my mouth because I've had bad luck with opening night movies, and that was like the third or fourth one that did that for me.
I mean, okay, like I will say that I wasn't a fan of all of him, like with all these different suits.
Yeah, it's the other thing too. All of his suits blow up. You're like, where the fuck does this go? And then in the next movie, he's got a suit still. Like they just completely ignored the whole fact that he's like, I'm done with this.
It seemed like he was the villain was trying to create AIM, the AIM thing. It felt like he was trying to create AIM, which was actually AIM was in the comics. AIM is what Hydra is in the MCU. So like the Red Skull and all, the whole thing with Hydra, like in the comics, it was more geared towards this other evil group called AIM, AIM. So yeah, I mean, Iron Man 3, I did like the fact that I liked that Iron Man was progressing as a character in terms of like, he's suffering from he's totally suffering from PTSD in this movie. And Robert Downey Jr. plays that really, really well to the point where he's like having like panic attacks. And, I felt like that was because
this was the one where he went and found that kid and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who showed up at the funeral and everybody's like, who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy? Like, who's he gonna be?
Oh, well, Richard, just like phase 1 through 3, we're coming to an end. So let me do a little bit of recapping of our draft. So my first round pick, I had Marvel's Avengers. Second round pick, Avengers Endgame. Third round pick, Guardians of the Galaxy. Fourth round pick, Avengers Infinity War. Fifth round pick, Black Panther. Sixth round pick, Civil War. Seventh round pick, Doctor Strange. Eighth round pick, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ninth round pick, Ant-Man. 10th round pick, Avengers Age of Ultron. 11th round pick, Thor The Dark World. And Richard, for your first round pick, you had Iron Man. Second round pick, Winter Soldier. Third round pick, Ragnarok. Fourth round pick, Homecoming. Fifth round pick, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Sixth round pick, Spider-Man Far From Home. Seventh round pick, Captain America The First Avenger. Eighth round pick, Captain Marvel. Ninth round pick, Iron Man 2. 10th round pick, Thor, and 11th round final pick, Iron Man 3, and the odd movie out of this draft, The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there's two, if I could pull two off of your list, it would be Guardians and oh shit. I had it and I lost it. And Doctor Strange. If I could pull two movies off of yours, it would be those two.
Of your list, it'd probably just be Iron Man and Ragnarok. But yeah, Richard, as this 10-year journey, almost 11-year journey is coming to an end. What are some of your Richard's closing thoughts?
That was 10 years of awesome, and I'm ready for another 10. And
yeah,
Phase 4 looks interesting. I really want to see that Doctor Strange movie. That looks really good. I feel like with Black Widow and the Eternals, I need to see something on that.
Yeah, I'm excited. In like 5 years or 10 years, we can do phases 4 through 7 draft.
If Shang-Chi is just like the straight up fucking like kung fu movie, fucking I'm paying with your money and I'll pay him double. That would be fucking great. Love and Thunder looks, obviously I'm gonna go see all these. I mean, let's not act like I'm not. Let's not act like I'm on the fence. But I would say out of Phase 4, Doctor Strange is the one that I'm like, I want to see that one bad.
All right. Well, as we're tidying up, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Visit our website. We're at languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at languageofbro. Email us at bros@languageofbromance.com. Like us on Facebook and get your LOB merchandise by going to tpublic.com and searching for Pod Bros Network. You can also search for Language of Bromance. We got a couple t-shirts up there. We got the Lucy 666. We got the Violent Panda. We got a bunch of stuff up there. Check it out.
All the things.
If you want to throw us a few extra bones, go to our Patreon account. We got a couple people, Wendy, Chris, a bunch of fun people there. And remember, as always, we are part of the Pod Bros Network.
The podcast network we are in Phase 8.
Yeah, Phase 8.
Yeah. That's the styrofoam anniversary.
All right. Was there anything else before I close her out?
No. I feel like we've got a definitive list here.
All right. Well, that's all the bromance we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And remember, don't be a why.
Be
a why.
a why not. Taser face!